Taxonomy, process of arranging organisms into groups based on similarities. In this system, all living things are divided into main groups called kingdoms. A set of body structure characteristics is used to further divide each kingdom into a few main groups called phylum, which are divided according to a different set of characteristics into classes. The classes are divided into orders, and the orders are divided into families. The families are divided into one or more species. Creationists recognize that the origin of new species within the kind does occur. The origin of new species within the kind, however, is not the same as changing one kid into another. Organisms are divided into eukaryotes, which have membrane-bound nuclei and membrane-enclosed organelles, and prokaryotes, which do not have membrane-bound nuclei. There are 6 kingdoms: plantae, green plants, multicellular eukaryotes that have cell walls and usually perform photosynthesis, fungi, all fungi including yeasts, molds, and mushrooms, multicellular eukaryotes that have cell walls and do not conduct photosynthesis, Animalia, multicellular animals, eukaryotes without cell walls, usually can move and collect food, Protista, eukaryotes that are not green plants, fungi, or multicellular animals, mostly unicellular organisms such as amoeba, euglena, and paramecium. Eubacteria, true bacteria including common disease-causing bacteria, prokaryotes with cell walls made of the substance peptidoglycan. Archaebacteria, prokaryotes that do not contain peptidoglycan in their cell walls and have other key differences from true bacteria. Evolutionary misconcepts. Biological classification changed to reflect phylogeny, the supposed evolutionary relationships of organisms. Most modern evolutionary taxonomy uses a method of classification called cladistics. This results in drawing phylogenetic trees, which depict all forms of life coming from a single life form. In recent decades, molecular phylogeny has become popular. In molecular phylogeny, supposed relationships come from comparing organisms' genetic information. Evolutionary classification fails because no convincing transitional forms link major groups of organisms. In both the fossil record and the living thing creation today, birds are birds, reptiles are reptiles, plants are plants, and so on. Gymnosperms, plants that produce seeds but do not produce flowers. There are 4 main groups: conifers, refers to the cones that are produced by trees and shrubs. They produce the ovules, which are fertilized by the pollen from staminate cones, resulting in seed formation. Fungi. From these trees is extracted a resin used to make varnishes, adhesives, and linoleum. Cycads, which resemble palm trees, grow today only in certain tropical and subtropical regions. Ginkgo. The ginkgo is considered a living fossil because it is the only living species in phylum Ginkgophyta. Genetophytes. They produce through seeds formed in cones with separate male and female cones. Ferns. The life cycle of a fern involves both asexual and sexual reproduction. This process is called the alternation of generations. The 2 generations are the sporophyte and the gametophyte. The sporophyte generation is a stage that you see and think of as a third. As its name implies, it is an asexual stage that produces spores. The gametophyte generation is much smaller and is a sexual stage that produces gametes. The story consists of dense clusters of minute sporangia, each containing between 48 and 64 microscopic spores. When the humidity of the soil is adequate, each spore develops into a tiny green heart-shaped fortallus. The tiny fortallus produces special reproductive organs, plural antheridia, and female archegonium, plural archegonia. Club mosses. Club mosses are creeping vascular plants with erect stems that bear spores in club-shaped, cone-like structures. Horsetails are vascular plants with unique hollow, jointed stems and very small leaves present only at the joints. Mosses are non-vascular plants that lack xylem and phloem, called mosses and liverworts by bryophytes, which literally means most-like plants. Rhizoids grow into the soil to absorb water and minerals. Mosses help to replenish the soil by secreting acids that gradually break down the minerals in rocks, a process called chemical watering. Most plants experience rhizoids, alternation of generations for reproducing. Peat. Decaying peat moss is the main constituent of a substance known as peat. Peat is a compressed accumulation of various partially decayed plant materials that collect in swamps and marshes over time. Liverworts, non-vascular plants, they lack true leaves, roots, and stems, and grow along the surface of the soil, attached by rhizoids. Algae. 70% of the photosynthesis on the earth. They are part of the plankton, microorganisms that float near the surface of the water and provide food for larger organisms. The unicellular green alga, chlorella, is one of the most important green algae because it has been widely used in the study of photosynthesis. Chlamydomonas, a unicellular green alga that lives in both soil and water, is unusual in that it possesses 2 distinctly animal-like characteristics. Flagella. whip-like structures that allow locomotion, and rect stigma, or ice path. Desmin lives as a single cell with a belt-like constriction about its middle, dividing it into two identical semicells. The nucleus is in the center, between the semicells. Volvox, unicellular algae that live in colonies of hundreds of thousands of individual cells. These aquatic organisms live in pale green globular colonies, which are just barely visible to the unaided human eye. Olatrix grows along the seashore and in ponds. Its slender filaments grow attached to rocks and debris. Spirogyra. Filamentous algae contain one or more ribbon-like chloroplasts arranged in a spiral. Thin gelatinaceous shed surrounds each individual cell. Spirogyra have a slippery feel. Yellow alga. Yellow or brown pigment that masks the green chlorophyll. Most yellow algae are unicellular, but they often live in colonies or clusters. The most numerous and most interesting of the yellow algae are the diatoms, which are possibly the most abundant life form on Earth except for bacteria. Diatoms have rigid cell walls composed of silica. Diatomaceous earth is used in toothpastes, scoring potwares, filters, bricks, tiles, and ceramics. Swedish chemist Alfred Nobel, creator of Nobel Prize, discovered that diatomaceous earth would absorb 3 times its own weight of nitroglycerin. Brown algae. All the algae that belong to this phylum are marine organisms, and the seaweeds, large saltwater algae of colder ocean waters, are mostly brown algae. Kelps are attached to the ocean floor by large holdfasts. Algin, a gummy substance derived from kelp, can hold several different liquids together in an emulsion. It is used in the manufacture of a variety of foods and drugs, including the chocolate milk, ice cream, mayonnaise, puddings, salad dressings, aspirin, etc. Rockweeds, designed to survive in the harsh conditions of a changing environment that is submerged at high tide and above water level at low tide. Gulfweeds, of the genus Sargassum, which give the Sargasso Sea in the Atlantic Ocean its name. Red alga. These algae vary in color from pink and red to purple and even black. One species of red alga, commonly known as Irish moss, is a source of carrageenan, a gelatinaceous substance used in many food products. Carrageenan is the gel that makes commercial ice cream smooth and creamy. Dinoflagellates have 2 unlike flagella, which they use for locomotion. Most dinoflagellates live in the ocean, where they are a source of food for many other organisms. The best known type of dinoflagellates is responsible for the phenomenon commonly called red tide. A red tide occurs when this dinoflagellate blooms or grows so rapidly that the water is tinged with a pinkish color. Blue-green algae are prokaryotes and are disclassified with bacteria in kingdom Eubacteria. They contain blue and red pigments along with the green chlorophyll. They are called cyanobacteria because of their bluish appearance. Anabaina, a genus of nitrogen-fixing cyanobacteria whose cells look like tiny bits or barrels. Eutrophication is a process in which plant nutrients enter an aquatic ecosystem. This natural eutrophication often occurs very slowly. More concerning is cultural eutrophication, a rapid process caused by human activity. Most often, cultural eutrophication occurs when phosphate-containing chemicals pollute bodies of water. Fungi are non-vascular plant-like organisms that lack chlorophyll and depend upon other organisms for food. They are heterotrophs. Most fungi are multicellular and have a distinct thread-like structure. Yeasts, however, are unicellular. The thread-like structures, or filaments, that form the body of a fungus are called hyphae. The mass of hyphae forming the main body of a fungus is called the mycelium. Scientists who study fungi are called mycologists. Most fungi are saprophytes, that is, they obtain their nutrition from dead organisms. Fungi types. Club fungi. Some fungi can be classified by the shape of their spore-producing structures. For instance, many fungi produce spores in microscopic club-shaped structures called basidia. Rusts and smuts. Parasitic club fungi that do millions of dollars in damage to crops each year. A parasite is an organism that lives on or in another living organism and derives its nutrition from that organism. Rusts are named for the rusty-colored spores that they leave on their hosts. Smuts produce masses of black spores on their hosts. Shelf fungi. Their mycelia spread throughout the block, digesting the wood and causing decay. Unlike mushrooms, shelf fungi grow slowly and do not have gills. Molds. When the hundreds of spores in the spore case are measured, the case bursts and discharges the spore into the air, or one currents to scatter them. If a spore settles on a piece of bread or some other particle of food, it may grow into a new mold. Cheese molds. Cheese is made by using bacteria to help separate milk into the solid white curd and the watery whey. After this operation, most types of cheese are placed into a cold location to age. Yeasts, a small, colorless, single-cell organism that feeds on foods containing sugar, converting the sugar into alcohol and carbon dioxide in the process. Some mildews appear as a white, powdery substance on plants because they grow rapidly and reproduce by spores that are easily transported by the wind. These organisms are difficult to control. Slime molds. Although they have traditionally been studied with fungi, their cell structure places them in kingdom Protista. Some slime molds are saprophytes and obtain their nutrition from dead organisms. Others are parasites. Lichens, sometimes a fungus and an alga. Either a green alga or a blue-green alga live together in a close relationship that combines the two organisms into a single unit. Symbiosis. Two different kinds of organisms living together for a mutual benefit. They began the process of breaking down the rock into soil.